Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Today I want to share with you the initiative from the Biden-Harris administration to help facilitate the uptake of sickle cell disease gene therapy offered by, I think, CRISPR and Bluebird, because though the company names are not mentioned, these are the only two companies with approved gene therapies for sickle cell disease. If successful, I think this model will be applied to other similar gene therapies. And at the end of this video, I will give you my assessment from an investment perspective. That said, let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Let me provide you an overview of the Cell and Gene Therapy or CGT Access model, which is the name of the initiative. The CGT Access model is a strategic initiative by the US government, specifically led by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. Aiming to improve access to transformative cell and gene therapies, this model focuses on Medicaid beneficiaries, particularly those with sickle cell disease, addressing the challenges of affordability and accessibility. Sickle cell disease, SCD, has been identified as the initial focus of the CGT Access model due to its severe impact on Black Americans and limited treatment options. The disease affects over 100,000 people in the United States, shortening life expectancy by more than 20 years and leading to complications like stroke and chronic damage. The high prevalence in Medicaid enrollees, which is almost 50 to 60%, highlights the significant impact on state Medicaid budgets. The primary goal of the model are to enhance health outcomes, increase access to cell and gene therapies, and reduce healthcare costs for the vulnerable populations. The initiative was developed in response to President Biden's directive to explore models that increase access to novel therapies and lower drug costs. At the core of the CGT Access model are outcomes-based agreement, or OBAs, where CMS negotiates agreements with manufacturers linking payment to the health benefits delivered by the gene therapy. For sickle cell, the targeted outcomes could be the continued elimination of pain crisis over time. If the agreed upon health benefits are not achieved, drug makers typically need to rebate or reimburse insurers for a portion of the therapy's cost. Unlike previous models, CMS aims to coordinate the negotiation of a sickle cell specific framework across multiple states. CMS is aiming to coordinate the negotiation of a sickle cell specific framework across many states, and this centralized approach helps avoid discrepancies in what different Medicaid programs would pay for the same product. And the coordination involves negotiation with manufacturers on behalf of states, streamlining the process and providing parity in access across the country for all the citizens. The CGT Access model is set to begin in 2025, with states having the option to start participating between January 2025 and January 2026. CMS is actively engaging with states and manufacturers to establish a framework for expanding access to gene therapies for SCD. States interested in participating in the model can opt into the negotiated terms. This means that insurance providers operating within those states would need to adhere to the terms negotiated by CMS regarding price rebates. A standardized access policy and the defined scope of fertility preservation services are included. If you recollect, in one of my earlier videos, I mentioned that one of the major worries for potential patients is the impact on fertility. The government has taken note of this and they call it additional barrier. To tackle additional barriers, CMS plans to require manufacturers to include a defined scope of fertility preservation services for individuals receiving SCD gene therapy. Optional funding will be offered to states promoting comprehensive sickle cell treatment such as behavioral health or care management services. And now from the investor's point of view, for investors in CRISPR and Blue, both of whom have outcome-based pricing, the CGT Access model presents an opportunity and a framework that aligns with the broader efforts to reduce prescription drug costs. The central coordination and negotiation aspects could streamline process for both manufacturers and state Medicaid programs. potentially facilitating wider adoption and market access. On the other hand, involving states would mean that many red states might not opt in. This could mean that in those states, the manufacturer will have to take the initiative. There is still no indication of the exact price and payment schedule so far. Also, there are no specific insurer names. I am thinking that the existing insurance companies that have already tied up with either Blue or CRSP will continue with their arrangements and take part in the negotiations with CMS. A successful implementation of this framework can help future gene therapies, such gene therapies to leverage on it and succeed. Overall, this indicates the willingness of the government to facilitate the therapy, and that is a positive development for both CRISPR Therapeutics and Bluebird. With this bit of information, I feel optimistic about the prospects of Casgevy and LifeGenia. Well, that's all for now. I will be back soon with my next video. Until then, bye for now.